Now, good morning to all. Now, let's start with the new chapter Algebra of Vectors. Now, first of all, start with the physical quantity. Now, physical quantities. Now, the physical quantity is divided into the two parts. Now, the first one is scalar. Now, the second one is vector. Now, first of all, define the scalar quantity. Now, the scalar quantity in which have the magnitude but not the direction, which have only magnitude and which are not related to any fixed direction in space. Now the next one, the vector, which have both the magnitude and direction, which have both magnitude and direction. Now the example of scalar quantities: mass, volume, density, etc. Example of vector: displacement, velocity, acceleration, etc. Now start with the vector. Now first topic is the representation of vector. Representation of, now suppose it's a vector PQ. Now in which the vector are represented by directly line segment such that the length of the line segment is magnitude of the vector and the direction of arrow marked at end emphasize the direction of the vector. Now the vector is denoted by this, that is PQ vector. Now in this PQ vector have the some characteristics. Now the first thing is length. Now the length of the vector PQ is denoted by magnitude of PQ vector. Second thing, the support. Line of unlimited length of which PQ is segment is called the support of the vector PQ. Now the next is sense. Now the meaning of the sense is PQ vector. PQ vector is from P to Q. QP vector is from Q to P. Now the next point is equality of vectors. Now the equality of vectors. Now let A vector and B vector are said to be equal. Now written like as A vector is equal to the B vector. Now the how can we say that the two vectors are equality? Now the equality, how can we say that the two vectors are equal? Now the first thing is same length, Second thing, same or parallel support. Third thing, same sense. Now, if the two vectors are have the same length but the sense are opposite, then we can't say these are equality vectors. They are, we can say, the equal vectors when both the vector have the same length and the same sense also, and same or parallel support. Now discuss about the types of vectors. Types of vectors. Now the first thing is zero or null vector. A vector a vector whose initial and terminal points are coincident is called the zero or null vector. Modulo of null vector. Now the null vector is represented by like this. Now the modulo of null vector is 0. Now the second one is unit vector. A vector whose modulus is a vector whose modulus is unity is called a unit vector. Now the unit vector. Now suppose let's a vector. Now the unit vector of a vector is represented by a cap. Now the a vector. Now let's consider the vector is a. Now the unit vector of the a vector is represented by this. Now we can say it's a cap. We can say the a cap. Now the magnitude of a cap is equal to the 1. Means the magnitude of a cap is 1, so it is unit vector. Now the next one is like and unlike vectors. Vectors are said to be like when they have the same sense or direction. When they have the same sense of direction, and unlike when they have opposite direction. Now let's see, that is a vector and b vector. Now they both are in the same direction. A vector, b vector. A vector, both are in opposite direction. So it's an example of like vector, and this it's example of unlike vector. Collinear or parallel vector. Vector having the same or parallel support. Vector having same or parallel support means they are collinear or parallel vectors. Next one is co-initial vector. Co-initial vector. Now its name is indicated the co-initial means the two vector have the same initial point is called co-initial vectors. Vector having same initial point. Fifth one, sixth one. Coplanar vectors. A system of vector is said to be coplanar if their supports are parallel to the same plane. If their supports are parallel to the same plane. 7. Coterminous vector. A vector having same terminal point. Vector having same terminal point. Negative of a vector. Vector which has same magnitude as the vector A vector but opposite direction. Now the negative of A vector denoted by minus of A vector. PQ vector is A vector, so QP vector is minus of A vector. The next type is reciprocal of vector. Now the reciprocal of vector is denoted by A vector inverse. Now the magnitude of A vector is A, so the A inverse is 1 by A. Let's take the example. Represent graphically first one a displacement of 40 kilometer 30 degree west of south, 60 kilometer 40 degree east of north, 50 kilometer southeast. Now the solution: east, west, north, and last one is south. Now the first part is the 40 kilometer 40 displacement of 40 kilometer 30 kilometer west of south. West of south means the angle is made 30 degree with south. So this angle is 30 degree. Now the displacement is 40 kilometer. Now the second one is 60 kilometer east of north. 60 kilometer with 40 degree east of north means the 40 degree with north, that is 40 degree. Displacement is 60 kilometer. Now the last one is 50 kilometer is southeast. Southeast means at the center of south and east means the 45 degree angle. 50 kilometer south east.